The Pioneer class that I told you about, which honors fighters or people in boxing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a fighter, but in this case both were, who were part of boxing and contributed significantly to boxing prior to 1960. And our first inductee is the great Jack Dempsey, a fighter who fought here well, about 100 years ago, a little less than 100 years ago in Nevada. He fought 8 fights in Nevada and 3 exhibition fights in Nevada. And trying to see if those exhibitions are really worth exactly what they were. He might have been fighting, 3 guys in a night or exactly. And but we wanted to, I'm very happy that Jack is being recognized. He spent a lot of time in Las Vegas, long periods of time, passing through, staying here, vacationing here, fighting here, living here, whatever. And he goes in now in the Pioneer class in Nevada, along with the great Archie Moore, who is being honored, although he only fought twice in Nevada. The reason I think he was voted in is because his 1956 fight against Nino Valdez here in Las Vegas basically paved the way for big-time fighting here in Las Vegas. They fought an elimination fight to see who would fight Rocky Marciano for the heavyweight championship. And Archie Moore came here, and with Doc Kearns as manager, they promoted the hell out of the fight. And it was at Cashman Field in Las Vegas, an outdoor fight that they had here, and it was really kind of that turned the lights on to boxing in Las Vegas and made people think and connect boxing in Las Vegas. Archie Moore won that 15-round decision over Nino Valdez. He went on to get the heavyweight championship fight with Rocky Marciano, knocked Marciano, in fact, down early in that fight before he ended up losing. But Archie Moore, as a result of that fight, he also had another fight in Nevada, is the inductee, along with Jack Dempsey. And I talked to Archie's son yesterday, Billy Moore, who's in San Diego and runs the foundation there that his dad started, which in those days was called Any Boy Can. And as a little boy, I got to meet Archie Moore, which was really a big thrill for me. And he had this foundation called Any Boy Can. And I talked to Billy Moore yesterday, and he was just like totally over the moon, and he can hardly wait for the induction ceremony and dinner to be here this year to accept on his father's behalf. Okay, now we move on to the adoptive Nevada residents. This is for people who moved to Nevada after their careers were over and then became residents of Nevada. We had 8 really great people on this ballot in this category, but really the voting was overwhelming, a landslide, because the adoptive resident is the great brown bomber Joe Louis, who was the former heavyweight champion of the world from 1936, I believe, to 1949. 1938 to 1949. 25 defenses of his heavyweight championship. He held it for 11 years. And he moved to Las Vegas and lived here in the final years of his life. He was a greeter at Caesar's Palace. And if you've been over there to Caesar's, you've probably seen that wonderful big statue of Joe Louis over there. And they also have that statue at the UFC offices, believe it or not, where Mark Ratner works right now, right out in their lobby. So Joe Louis joins Jack Dempsey and Archie Moore as we tip our hat to those from the past here in Nevada as well. Now, our Nevada resident boxers this year that will be going in, 2 are going to be inducted. The first is Sonny Liston, former heavyweight champion of the world with a 50-4 record, resided here several years in Las Vegas at the end of his career. He defended the championship in one of the first really big heavyweight championship fights that we had here in the Las Vegas area at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and one round knockout KO of Floyd Patterson, 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the first round of their rematch that they had here in Las Vegas. And Sonny Liston, the former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, goes in as a Nevada resident. And our second Nevada resident to be inducted today, it's not being inducted today, but it's being announced, and he will be inducted in August, is Cornelius Boza Edwards, who is with us here today. Many have asked me, I really don't have an answer, how a guy so soft-spoken and so gentle and kind could turn into that lion in the ring, because he was in some hellacious, unbelievable matches. I will never forget his matches with Bobby Chacon,
Yes, sir.
A bloodbath, you know. I mean, if
Before
you
the
would.
last round of the slow motion. Before the last round of the slow motion. Bobby Chacon, 66 stitches.
Total bloodbath.
Before the last round, completely exhausted.
He had nothing left. It was unbelievable. I'll never forget that fight. Chacon is a lovely guy as well. But Cornelius, you had those fights with Chacon, but also with Bazooka Limon, another great contemporary of yours that you defeated, and Rolando Navarrete at the time. I mean, the list goes on. He had a wonderful career, 45-7. He trains fighters now. He works with Roger Mayweather over at the Mayweather gym. He does a great job, and it was only one boo, Roger. just one boo. But Cornelius Boza Edwards goes in this year, and he'll be inducted. Cornelius, glad you're here today. Take a bow. You deserve it. And now for our non-Nevada residents. I just got off the phone just before we started today with one of the sons of our non-Nevada resident boxer who is going into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. And I said one of the juniors because I spoke to George Foreman Jr. just moments before we started on the telephone.
Which one?
One of the many George Foreman Juniors. And but our first inductee in the non-Nevada resident category is Big George Foreman, with his record of 76 wins and 5 defeats. He fought 13 times in Nevada, 3 of them world title fights. His fight with Ron Lyle probably is the greatest heavyweight fight that we've ever had here in Nevada, and one of the greatest anywhere of all time, in which Ron had George down and out at the end of the 4th quarter, but Foreman somehow got back to his corner and knocked out Ron in the 5th. And then, of course, the Michael Moorer fight. I was fortunate enough to do the international telecast on when he fought Michael Moorer. And it was I still believe it is the single most electrifying moment that I've ever had in my career calling a fight. When he knocked out Moorer after losing all 9 rounds prior to the knockout. He knocked Moorer out in the 10th round. I completely lost it. It probably was one of my worst calls ever, which I'm sorry to say, because at that time you really want to come up with the most clever, terrific broadcast that you possibly could. But I was like everybody else and just kind of falling apart there when George pulled that off to become the oldest heavyweight champion in the world at the age of 45. So George Foreman is the first of our non-Nevada resident inductees into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. And please, when you see him, if you get a chance to talk to him, please congratulate him on him. And hopefully he'll be here in August as well for the induction ceremony. Our second is Evander Holyfield, with his record of 44-10, but I think we all know that some of those losses were at the end of his career here. Evander goes in 19 Nevada fights, 15 world championship fights, first 5 of which, by the way, were in the cruiserweight division. And one of those was yes, and he fought 5 as a cruiserweight, 10 as a heavyweight champion. Of course, most notable for Evander were his 2 great wins over Mike Tyson. So much emphasis has been put, I think, on the ear bite fight that people have forgotten about the unbelievable upset that Evander pulled off in the first fight when he opened up as a 23-1 underdog in that fight. 24? And I'm not sure what it ended up, but I mean, he was that kind of ridiculous underdog in this fight. And Evander pulled that off by knocking out Mike in the 11th round. I just actually watched the fight yesterday again. It was really one of the great fights. And Bobby Ches at the end of it says famously, "I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's the most unbelievable thing I've ever had the privilege of witnessing," which I thought was a beautiful statement. I wish I'd have said that myself when Foreman knocked out Moorer, but I didn't come up with it. But not only the wins over Mike Tyson, but the fan man fight with Riddick Bowe at Caesar's Palace. His defeat of Larry Holmes, also outdoors at Caesar's Palace. His win over Buster Douglas after Douglas had knocked out Mike Tyson.
24 years ago today.
Is that right? That's right. 24 years ago today. I did not know that. Thanks for that, Kevin. And in a fight that seems to kind of have receded into the background for Evander, which was his win, it was just a sensational fight over Michael Dokes. It was a spectacular fight that they fought here in Las Vegas, a fantastic bout.
The first fight was with Henry Tillman and Reno.
At Henry Tillman?
Cruiserweight.
As a cruiserweight, and you were there. Well, we have a lot of like really incestuous entanglements, and we all somehow get related to one another. So Evander Holyfield goes in as our second inductee, and the third in the non-Nevada resident is the great Manos de Piedra, hands of stone, Roberto Duran, with his record of 103 wins, 16 losses. He fought 14 times here in Nevada, 6 world title fights. One of his greatest fights, I thought, even was in a losing effort, a pitched battle that he had outdoors. I was in the very last row where they used to put the not so great media at Caesar's Palace at the top. But when he fought Marvin Hagler, he fought a 15-round decision, lost a split decision to heavily favored Marvin Hagler outdoors at Caesar's Palace, a tremendous fight. He had another signature win over Esteban de Jesus here in Nevada as well, a great fighter in his own right. And Roberto Duran is our third inductee. So we have George Foreman, Evander Holyfield, and Roberto Duran are non-Nevada residents this year. Now I'm gonna wind things up there, and I would like to invite the media or writers to please have at our inductees, and you know, they'll do one-on-ones or whatever you need to do, and whatever you can do for us in terms of getting the word out about the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, we surely appreciate, whether it be in print or on TV or with the internet. We appreciate all that you do. And thanks so much for all of you coming out. You great champions, Ishe and Zab and Bones and Roger. Thank you very much for coming out here today and supporting the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. I really, really do appreciate it, and all of you who have shown up as well. So thanks very much. We'll be talking to you, and we'll announce our plans in the not-too-distant future for what we have this year. Thanks, everybody.